Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope 2022 has been off to a great start for all of you watching. It has not been a great start for markets. Jerome Powell and the Fed have been jawboning about the Fed pivot, about how they're going to taper faster, about how they're going to raise rates at an accelerated pace, and about how all of this is going to help them to get ahead of the record high inflation that we've been experiencing throughout 2021. While I don't think that the Fed has a prayer's chance of getting ahead of inflation, it does look like the mere mention of raising rates may be enough to prick some of these asset bubbles that we've seen inflating. All of the major stock market indexes are down so far in 2022, and in particular, tech stocks and cryptocurrencies have really been suffering. Just today, Bitcoin briefly dipped below the $40,000 level, which is a huge decline from its 2021 highs, and I think that this decline could just be getting started. I don't think it's any secret that most of the asset appreciation we've seen over the past 2 years has a lot more to do with the Fed than with any real market fundamentals, and the fact that the mere mention of raising rates is enough to cause these declines is further evidence of that. Now, silver and gold have actually held up much better on this news. Silver is slightly down so far this year, but really it's just been trading in the $22 to $23 range since mid-December, and it has not declined nearly as much as many of these other more speculative assets. And I think that this may be a new trend. Last time we saw a big market sell-off was in March of 2020, and gold and silver sold off right along with everything else. But these days, concerns about inflation are much more prominent, and investors are going to be viewing precious metals as more of a safe haven. So the metals may behave differently if we get another big sell-off. As far as the Fed getting inflation under control, forget about it. How much can they really raise rates anyway? Just mentioning the idea is enough to possibly prick these bubbles. So when they actually start to raise them, how quickly and how high do you think they can go without destroying these markets entirely? Sure, maybe they'll raise them 1 or 2 points, but even then, even with those raises, interest rates would still be at a level that historically would be viewed as extremely loose monetary policy. A tremendous amount of currency has already been created, and the inflationary effects of that are just now beginning to manifest themselves. And with the US national debt nearing $30 trillion and growing, there is absolutely no way that the Fed can raise rates to the levels that they would need to actually get inflation reined in. So to me, 2022 is looking pretty good for silver and precious metals in general going forward. And Wall Street mega banks actually seem to be on the same page. Goldman Sachs chief commodities analyst Jeff Curry was recently on CNBC forecasting a commodity supercycle.
We argue this is the beginning of a commodity supercycle, or at least we're about a year in it. We first forecasted a commodity supercycle in October of 2020. Now, you go back that far, the situation is far more bullish than what we had originally anticipated, but all the structural support for that type of bull market are in place.
And I think Jeff is absolutely right, and that we are going to see a transition from more speculative asset classes into physical commodities this year. And if we take a look at COMEX inventories of gold and silver, we can see that they've both been dropping steadily over the past year. And to me, data like this shows that the silver squeeze is alive and well, and silver stackers have been steadily drawing down the supply of physical silver on commodities exchanges. And if you guys don't think that the silver squeeze is alive and well, I suggest you go take a look at the Wall Street Silver subreddit, where you're going to see a community that has grown tremendously and where people are very dedicated to this silver squeeze movement. I mean, people over there are stacking like crazy. And just shout out to Wall Street Silver, love the subreddit. And I really think that the silver squeeze is gaining momentum. And as more information about inflation and monetary policy really comes out and gets into the general zeitgeist, I think that that community over at Wall Street Silver is only going to grow, and the silver squeeze is only going to get stronger. And speaking of the silver squeeze, there is an article by Ted Butler over at silverseek.com that I think all of you should go check out. I'll put a link in the description. In this article, Butler analyzes a report from the Treasury Department's Office of the Comptroller of Currency titled Quarterly Report on Bank Trading and Derivatives Activities. And I'm not going to go into the level of detail that he does for that, just go check out the article. But the gist is that data shows it is likely Bank of America has an open short position in physical silver to the tune of 800 million ounces. That's an entire year's production of silver, so that's a pretty significant position. And if Butler's interpretation of this data is correct, and Bank of America does have that massive short position in physical silver and inventories on exchanges are running low, well, that's certainly a recipe for a squeeze in the price of silver. If the price of the metal moves up and Bank of America attempts to close that position to avert massive losses, they will be forced to buy physical metal to do so, thus driving the price higher and increasing their losses in a vicious cycle. This is much like what we saw with the GameStop short squeeze. This would lead to massive price appreciation for silver. Just look at what the share price of GME did during that squeeze. Or, maybe this is all just speculation and nonsense. I will leave that for you to judge for yourself. Just go check out the article and see what you think. And as for me, as always, none of this is investment advice. I'm just telling you what I'm doing, but I will be stacking more physical metal and also adding to positions that I have in the silver miners and in the Sprott Physical Silver Trust ETF. And I believe 2022 could really be a tremendous year for physical silver and commodities in general. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. If you want to see more videos about stacking silver, then check out these right here, and I will catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker, out.